Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
I'm a failure. You know, it's really hard. I tried animating that without replay. Like this that reminds me just how little restraint I actually have. You know, it's really above average difficulty to make content when there's no one really there to see it.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I have been practicing animation for a few years now. And yes, I had a goal in mind to finish this animation of Spinel, the best, the GOAT, best villain, the greatest character. The only good thing about this show is everything that isn't named after it. Even if I like and appreciate Steven, you know, the longer I lived,
I am going to Kermit.
the more I realized how him trying to solve his own problems he cannot fix at all when fixing it's literally in his bloodline becomes more and more relevant the longer I live. I'm not kidding, he heals but he can't heal himself, he can't heal his mind.
Brain blast!
But anyway, the show's 10th anniversary came and went like Steven's mom. And yep, no new announcement, no new spin-off or prequel or anything. Mostly because animation is burning right now.
What up, bro?
The CEO who owns the Steven Universe IP hates animation. Cartoons are getting cancelled left and right, and it's like holy shit. But don't get discouraged, my friends. Get depressed. Because even if a new show is announced, it'll be under development for years before it could be actually marketed. So, Dad, all this animation trouble has fueled me with anxiety and anger. But I already had those things, it just made it worse. And the goal I had of this Spinel animation went into the gutter. But I'm here to explain to you why. Laziness. And an absolute clusterfuck of practice. I wonder, if I'm gonna get at making animations quickly, how could I do it efficiently? Once, you draw a picture for every second of animation. But how bad is it, really? It'll make it smooth and show what 2D can do, right? That's all well and dandy until I realized that there's 24 frames
24
per second, more or less, depending on what you're going for. 24 is ideal.
25.
That's 24 individual drawings made from the ground up just for one measly pathetic second. To make even 1 minute of animation like this would mean 1,440 drawings needed to be made. Anyway, fuck, I could barely get 2 seconds done. This is why you animate in 2s and 3s and so on and so forth, instead of 1s. Basically, you hold a drawing for a few frames before drawing another one depending on the movement you're trying to convey. Animating in 1s isn't necessary at all. Having janky frames feels better and have a much greater impact on fight scenes, especially fight scenes. Just look at Spider-Verse movies and The Last Wish and movies like that. That means less drawings and means less work, right? Not like that means jack to animators. It's still a lot of work no matter what. But guess what? I went into my thoughts, neatly stacked up all of my
I don't know what this is, but
in a built-in notification foundation because I did not give any. I still tried it. Take a shot every time I say not because it will make the animation unnecessarily smooth, but because I just needed practice. Frankly, like my entire educational experience, I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. So, since I failed at my original task and the original date, and worst of all, failed the greatest character to ever conceive television, besides Whithead over there. She's a queen. She's a queen. Queen. My hair's in the way. I can't see. The greatest character in this beautiful shit show. The other one. Beautiful shit show.
We've come to Earth to live with you.
What?
I am so obsessed over animated shows, indie or not.
That's enough.
You are a worthless bitch ass nigga.
And so, let me show you my experience in becoming an animator so far. Let's begin at the beginning. What the fuck? Great joke, great beginning sentence, you f***ing edgelord. That was such a great joke, it became a celebrity because I need to celebrate the starting humor of this video I've been procrastinating for months. Am I allowed to make the same joke a third time? So, flip a clip. What was my very first animation? The one that started this long journey of drawing myself into a coma. This. I'm sorry, I forgot I added that in. I completely forgot I added that at the very end because I thought it'd be funny. This was a way for me to test out just what would animating in ones would look like. So after searching for more examples on the internet, I came to the conclusion of what the f am I doing with my birthday? 27 years old. What are you doing? What does this accomplish? What are you doing? Anyway. What the fuck? This was a simple animation with simple shapes and simple execution. No, I don't like this. I know that none of us like to see this baby Google gaga bullshit example. Like real parenting, I seek real results. Making a genuine attempt at this. And so I looked at Spinel and repeated what my foregut said to me a long time ago. I chose to animate her angry. So I picked up my iPhone 7 in 2021. What the fuck? And so I started the Adobe app. So I started to drop on the Adobe app. I never bothered looking up how you actually pronounce this shit. This popular drawing thing that everyone uses. So I used it and drew the very first frame of the head. I had to start with something simple, something small.
A mutated what?
And didn't want to jump right into very complicated action sequences. Just a normal facial expression change and, oh yeah, keyframes. I explained keyframes in my first video ever, but to summarize, you see this? Yeah, that. So let's put it here instead so I can fuck in this location instead. That's what I like to call the fuck off movement. Besides being a sentiment I made up just now, the fuck off movement makes me move the things I'm drawing. Thank you. I am very hilarious. And the fuck off is my entire mentality through this process. Because I knew it'd be worth it in the end, despite all the pain. So I sketched some keyframes and started to animate it. Hey, that ain't that bad. Just a simple change in facial expression. So I moved on to the rest of the body and it crashed. Adobe crashed.
Are you fucking serious? Fucking piece of shit.
Adobe crashed. The sun is blue. Grass is blue. It crashed. Yeah, go figure. I figured this app wasn't suitable for animations at all. So I went online to actually get an animation software and found Clip Studio Paint. A highly customizable, professional app with tons, and I mean tons of options to use as an excuse to inflate the price and make monthly subscriptions. But I heard how good it was with animations, so I have to give it a go. Now, there was a problem. I wasn't kidding when I said how frustrating it is to figure out how this thing works. What the f*** is a raster layer? What? But I still drew anyway and made several mistakes in the process. as you should. Clip Studio has these things called folders where you can drag and drop as many drawings and details as you want and put them all in a singular folder. It helps with keeping things nice and tidy, and I f***ing hate that. You know how you f*** around with layers so much and need something specific to change, and you just end up checking every single folder because who actually names these? I do. Good, Carl. Keep it up. Ah, yes. Let me just look for the layer. Perfect. Just what I was looking for. No, I'm just gonna blank all of these until I find what I need to change in this orgy of layers and failure. So after some disastrous planning, I got the Clip Studio test run completed. Like I mentioned, I animated it in once.
Hold on for a second. Hold on. You stay there. Hold on. I'll be right back. I had to clean this dirty phone that I'm definitely gonna dirty again.
But it was clear I still had a long way to go. At this point, I'm still animating on my phone. And you know what happens when you use software, big boy software with a phone? It crashes. I couldn't afford a tablet or a drawing pen at that time, so all the animations I'll show today were made using my fingers. This test Spinel animation was made with just the tip. Wow, I am so mature. Don't believe me? Well then, here I am animating a completely irrelevant animation involving a certain blonde from a certain show involving demons, clowns, violence, furries, you know, all the things that make life worth living. But I won't show it until it's ready. Yes, it's still not ready. Regardless, drawing on my phone's tiny screen proved to be difficult, but doable. So, after getting the hang of Clip Studio, I went back to Adobe Foreskin, Adobe whatever, and finished up animating the rest of Spinel's body. I animated the arms and... oh, wait. What am I doing? Why did I do that? Why did I drew the keyframes in one app instead of doing it in Clip Studio? Whatever. I wasn't sure what I was doing, so mistakes are inevitable. It's hard to distinguish the differences between a newbie and a dumbass with how many mistakes both of them make. But one is willing to learn, while the other one thinks they know it all already. Remember, children, dumbasses think they're smart, but that's what makes them dumb. So I exported the keyframes
Oh, look at all this garbage.
through Adobe into the help pit where it was forged from, and got to fixing this shit because I couldn't see the keyframes.
They turned off the mic.
Because the white was exported with the drawing, and so the entire layer was just covered in just blank. Because why did I think it wouldn't export that way? That's silly of me.
It's the eyelashes. It's the eyelashes. Oh my.
So after erasing all that negative space, I got to animating and oh, you know, the one thing that all animation shares as a whole, besides lower back torture simulator, is that it doesn't matter how many frames you use, but how you use them. Because if you don't, then, well, rub a TV on my belly and call me a Teletoy because it morphed into the other drawing instead of moving to the drawing. It was fucked. Sure, I thought the keyframes were enough, but for animation, nah. In fact, no. After I realized my mistake, I realized my other mistake. These two keyframes were completely disproportionate. Either too big or too small, and since we're talking about Steven Universe characters, let alone a shapeshifter like Spinel, so I overhauled the entire keyframes and animation of Spinel's arms and hands. And after 2 weeks of sketching, drawing, inking, correcting, I ended up with this. 2 weeks! Pardon my pitch, but 2 weeks! It took me 2 weeks for me to do this. It's 2 seconds long. Now let me tell you something. Just let me tell you something about this hand in particular. This fucking hand needed to be redrawn with these red lines corrections because of its nature, its proportions. You see, the hand comes up, does a little twirl with its fingers, then slowly straightens her Mickey Mouse looking hands or gloves or whatever, that's what they're supposed to be, and turns. So, you know how something long and that long thing faces you? Just ask your cheating girlfriend. She knows. It gets larger, fatter. Man, the self-restraint I need to stop making these jokes is so great. At this rate, I would end up writing for Hello Boss. I love the show. It's kinda pretty obvious why I love this show based on my personality, don't you think? Anyway, basically, when somebody faces you, it gets bigger. So every tip of every finger needed to be animated. But that's not the worst part. No, because the hand itself needed to turn at a certain angle. And it was all pain. Well, for me, you know. And my hands. My right hand. I lost God knows how many fucking hours just to get to look good, to look right. Precisely how I wanted it. Anyway, yeah, this. All of this. So let's do it again. Oh, the other hand, it was a lot easier. Just goes woo, woo, and woo, woo. The little shaky hand she does to contain her anger before she unleashes it was a nice touch I added. It was not really planned. The hand was just supposed to be standing there. A hand standing there. Shut up, John. So yeah, the little shaky thing was just added while I was animating. That's another thing. I'm going off script a little bit, but that's another thing about animating. When you draw in-betweens to make the movement, you can come up to several ways that might differ a little bit from the keyframes, but keeping all things the same is better. Yeah, some things when you're animating is just comes up while you're working on it. It happens with all forms of art, really. For the rest of the body was relatively simple. Animated her twin pigtails blowing in the wind individually, just made every section of her hair move at slightly different angles, and played on a loop to make it seem like it was constantly blowing in the wind. Just like that Super Saiyan blondie chibi me hair I did recently. However, that was animated using Procreate Dreams, which came out last month. The rest of the body was simple. Just have her stretch her back. It's a little jank, but not bad for a genuine first try. And that's pretty much it. I am not animating that heart-shaped rock. I get nightmares just thinking about it, and they all have it in some shape or form. Especially Spinel. That's the most complex. If you look at the movie, it's like drawn really well in detail in some shots, and other shots there's like not animating that rock. Well, technically speaking, these characters are all rocks with holographic bodies that have mass somehow, or some made up alien sci-fi bullshit like that. So I'm really out here painstakingly drawing 24 frames per second of rainbow worshipping gay fossil fuels ruled by these rulers who trillions for their own sake in a plot involving love, betrayal, death. Yes, I'm still not over it. And why the are we focusing on Earth problems and politics? No, really. They made these commercials with Steven Universe characters, and they talk about.
You're telling me Pearl wouldn't tap that shit?
Racism? Homophobia?
Black people can't marry white people.
They go, oh, don't be racist. Okay. Or, oh no, boys, it's okay for boys to like boys. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Like, what the fuck? You have a plot centering around an insecure ruler who faked her own death after failing to end a war she fucking started with herself? I am not kidding. But it was with this fake identity she used as a way to prove herself to her sisters, her superiors, her mothers. Honestly, Rebecca, that was fucking subtle, you know? You made pink smaller than yellow and blue and have them treat her like it's their child that they're responsible for, just as a way to represent merry moms educating their child. No, honestly, that was a good and subtle representation. Too bad I still don't give a f because Pink fakes her death, runs to f all nowhere we humans know as her Earth, diddled a human she saw as a mere pet, and made Steven. Pink Diamond, how do I say this? She Alt F4 and deleted herself in order to make her son, Steven, and the show to happen. She killed herself. That's what she did. That's what she did. She killed herself in order to give birth to Steven. What is this grave-born bullshit? This is madness. And now her actions haunts Yellow and Blue as much as it does the fandom and Steven himself. Especially Steven. And the fandom. And Yellow and Blue. And me, especially me. Like, I'm still mad about all this shit all these years later. My god. So, with all of that said, why in Blue and Yellow hell do you represent these characters worrying about problems kids don't really care about in these commercials?
If you speak up, maybe people will follow your lead and be able to change the whole racist system.
It's just a kid show and I'm overthinking it over here, but you, it's fun to overthink. I know some of you may say, oh wait, but it's realistic.
Bloody scream! So real.
Pink seems realistic, she seems human, she seems like her complexity just feels real. It doesn't matter how realistic, deep, physiological, or idea-moving political nuance and emotional garbage you put in your story. Your story is still just a story. Your characters are still just characters. They're not real, but they feel real. And you have to respect that feeling by writing them in a way that comforts that illusion. Sure, it may be far less fun to go about it that way, but it will lead you to amazing moments in regards to the writing. Following the rules of writing, Shevkov's gun mostly, it will lead you to amazing moments like Season 1 did beautifully. Doesn't matter how the quality of the show dropped over time. The Season 1 finale still lives rent-free inside of my head. It was absolutely brilliant. Just stop telling me how Pink, being complex, somehow makes her human or even a better character, or how Connie acting out of character because, oh, she's a kid, that's how they're supposed to act. No, that's how they're supposed to act. But kid or not, dictator or not, they're still fictional characters in a work of fiction, made purely for entertainment. And money. Mostly money, but whatever. So anyway, oh yeah, this video is about animation. Oh yeah. So, after 2 weeks and 6 crashes, I finally finished it. So I sat there and looked at it. After all my years of drawing, I was finally moving forward with my skills and making my dream come true of just bringing my characters to life, even those who aren't mine. So I was just sitting there thinking like, oh wow, I can animate. And it immediately followed with, I can animate. And so I started my journey to animating more and more and so much more. All in once, just for the sake of practice, perspective. But that's enough for now. If you want me to show you more animations I did after this Spinel one and all the other ones, subscribe, hit the bell, and maybe I'll make more.